Hey PoE homies, J-War here with another video. So today I want to talk about two main things. We're going to talk a little bit about everything that's going on in the PoE community because I think a lot of people are very interested in that, and we're going to talk a lot about, well, a little bit about the build I'm playing, and I'm just going to show you guys while I'm talking here. We're just going to do a couple T16 maps. The build's been going really well, actually. I'm pretty happy with it. I will say it's been kind of it's been a struggle to get motivation to play it, to be quite honest. I haven't grinded like I normally would at the start of the league with the amount of time that I have, because, I have a lot of time to play the game right now, which is really nice, and normally I'd be going insane on the game and just grinding, 16-hour days, 12, 16-hour days, getting all my currency as fast as I possibly can and having a blast, but yeah, it's been kind of rough. It's been kind of rough, but I'll show you the build here, and I'm gonna try to stay positive. It's been kind of tough staying positive with everything that's going on, but we're gonna try to do that as best we can, and I'll just show you guys and what it's looking like. Got a nice 6 sockets there. Not bad. So as you can see, we're just kind of tearing through T16s now. We have been farming essences pretty effectively on this build. Obviously, Arch Nemesis is still around. It's still pretty bad. They made some slight changes yesterday, and it feels slightly better, but it's still really bad. I mean, I guess that's what you get when you make slight changes. You don't get big results. So that's kind of where we're at with that. I was hoping for it to be really noticeable and really good change, but it is not the best. It's still pretty tough. So, but otherwise, the as long as I don't do essences, which I have been doing, like I could be leveling very efficiently here, and I could probably be like level 95 if I was doing essences because the build is like insanely tanky otherwise. We just got fortify on our chest piece with a Elder influence. Melee hits have a chance to fortify, so we're now, in addition to being Juggernaut and being really tanky, we are now fortified as well, basically for free with that Eldritch currency on our chest piece. So that's nice. So I guess I'll go into a little bit more talking about the build here until I am going to talk a little bit at the end of the video about what I think about all the changes. We're going to go over them kind of step by step because I don't know. I know a lot of other people have covered them already, and I know a lot of people probably don't really care what I have to say about them. But I think people are just looking for content right now to kind of vent their frustrations and maybe confirm that they're not crazy being frustrated with all the changes because I do that too sometimes, right? You see stuff like this happen and you're like, am I crazy or is this just really bad? And you go around looking for other people that are maybe saying the same things or thinking the same things as you. It's kind of like confirmation bias, right? It's kind of not a great thing. And I will say, don't stay in this zone too much, guys. If you're frustrated and you're just staring at Reddit, refreshing Reddit, being sad about everything, try to get out of that. Try to just like get back in the game and play. It's actually not that bad. It is bad. It's egregious. The changes are pretty awful, but you can still play the game. It's not that awful. I kind of agree with Mathel's video, if anybody saw Mathel's video that came out very recently as of making this video for myself, and that, yeah, he's really disappointed as well, same as me, same as everybody, but if you actually just start playing the game and kind of try to forget about it for a little bit, yeah, it's not going to be as fun of an experience as it was, and that does suck, but you can still play. You can still play the game. But I also agree with the people that maybe don't want to be a statistic for GGG and stay logged in for their concurrent player numbers. And yeah, I totally understand if you want to do that as well. I would support doing that if I had something better to do with my time. But unfortunately, I don't because I'm kind of just a degenerate nerd. So, that being said, yeah, you can see the build is doing pretty good right here. We have some crazy Arch Nemesis monsters pop Ball Molten Shell. Kind of out of, I think we'll be able to kill these here. Yeah. As you can see, Fortify, getting Fortify on really helps. Well, actually, we didn't have it on there. I'm having a little bit of trouble because this build is so projectile based. Getting the melee hit to be fortified off consistently can be kind of tough. See a little bit more of our single target here. I don't know why she's Reveal feels really tanky a lot of times compared to like a lot of the other bosses. So I can almost basically just face anchor and stand and all of her damage, and it's not too bad on this build. Single target usually looks a lot nicer though on this build compared to yeah, you can see like the damage is a lot better on this. I don't know, the first version of Merveil is just really tanky. This patch it seems like too. I don't know, maybe I have a map bot on it, I didn't really notice. Maybe reduce crit damage or something. It's more monster life, 45% more monster life. That's probably why it's feeling so tanky. But anyway, this is the build on a T16. It's going pretty good. Uh, yeah, couple big upgrades we're waiting on. We just need a Pierce enchant Obscurantis. Hopefully this one's a perfect accuracy roll. I don't think I'm gonna get one as good as that with an enchant on it, but we'll see what happens. And yeah, we've got all our gear set up. We have our triple jewel set up with a brutal restraint, 2 transcendent spirit. This basically doubles our damage. In the middle here, have our intuitive leap. All this stuff combined. It's probably about 3 divines for the jewels there. And then, yeah, that's about all the expensive stuff. Everything else in the build is actually pretty cheap. I actually haven't made a ton of currency this league, because, yeah, like I may have said earlier, it's been a struggle to kind of stay motivated to play the game right now, sadly. So I haven't been on as much as I normally would be, grinding out loot, but I've come up with some pretty good methods to make loot. If you guys are struggling for alchemies and scours, just do Tujin, do Expedition on your map device, or on your map Atlas passive tree. Allocate the points for Expedition. You'll get enough of in your maps to get some exotic coins from Tujin every now and then, and you'll be able to haggle for some alchemies and scours. There's some scours right here. I probably should have grabbed. Uh, You'll be able to sustain your map rolling currency that way. I know it kind of sucks to have to do that, but that's kind of where we're at right now. If you are still playing the game, if you want to play the game, I would recommend doing that. Essences are pretty tough, but I've been doing them. As far as my strategy, I've taken a couple strongbox nodes, Essence, and Expedition. That's really what I've been doing. I would recommend doing really, you could do Heist or Expedition if you want to make currency right now. Those are probably the 2 best methods. And Strongbox is okay as well, actually, if you want to allocate some points to Strongbox. And then Altars are still pretty good, actually. I get a lot of Awakened Sextants, Orb of Unmakings doing those as well. So those are all pretty good. But anyway, to dive right into my thoughts on the changes and the current state of the game. We kind of talked about it a little bit, but my general thoughts are there's a couple things that it's just baffling to me, really. I don't think you could have. I feel like if GGG hired a consultant to design a patch in which they frustrate, uh, deflate, and I don't know, anger the player base as much as possible, that person could have designed a patch that did it better than they did at this patch. It's kind of baffling how you could actually, I don't know, almost purposefully just destroy your game in a single patch and frustrate people as much as possible, unintentionally, it seems. I assume it's unintentional what they did, but I don't think if you went about it intentionally trying to do it, you could have done it better than they did this patch, which is it's just baffling to me how they've done that. So that's really the thing that's just kind of I think about the most is I'm like, how could they end up at this, you know, taking this path, going down this course? Um, so really, Arch Nemesis is egregious. Everybody knows it. It's completely awful. They keep doubling down on it. They need to just either revert it completely out of the game or make the mods not stackable in the way that they are currently, because that is the biggest problem. And they keep going for these base modifier nerfs with life and stuff like that when that actually isn't the problem. And for some reason they don't know this, and everybody else seems to. But they aren't really too good at listening to feedback as of late, so I don't know, somehow they're just completely disconnected from the rest of the internet and the PoE community somehow. My suspicion, and this is kind of like getting into tinfoil hat stuff, I don't know, man. I know how you know, a lot of guys, a lot of men and women can be. Specifically, it's more kind of a guy thing, not to get into like the gender discussion here or anything like that. I'm just saying, like, I feel like it's some pride thing where some guy's holding on to some choice he made, and he doesn't want to just admit he's wrong, right? And you know, people can be rather stubborn, men and women, but I don't know. I feel like it's a case of that or something going on when they don't realize how dramatic the impacts they are having are actually in being stubborn. You know, it's perfectly fine to admit you're wrong, and I think they should definitely do that. And they need to either delete Arch Nemesis or drastically reduce it, and then if they want, they could buff it a little bit if they need to compensate. But they need to do something to fix the problems in the community for now, and they need to do it quickly. Okay, moving on, the loot changes. Also, just amazing, egregious, terrible changes. There's not a whole lot to say about them. We're getting way less loot. People like loot. You know, you can only take so many things out of the game that people like before people don't like the game anymore, and they don't seem to understand this or address it in any meaningful way as of yet. Hopefully, we'll get some more changes for that. They haven't really talked about it too much. They've talked about some other things. Lake of Kalandra League mechanic, they've said they've started to do some changes for that, but it's still really bad from what I've seen. So hopefully that gets fixed. Honestly, I don't even care. I don't think GGG realizes you could have just made a league mechanic like actual Arch Nemesis League mechanic where everybody basically ignored it and went about playing the game perfectly fine. and had a pretty good league otherwise with the Atlas passive tree the way it was and all the other good changes. Honestly, they could have just buffed a bunch of uniques and done some skill buffs to underutilize skills this league and thrown out Lake of Kalandra as just a trash can mechanic that everybody ignored, and it would have been fine. But they've gone in and done these other terrible changes that nobody likes and actually everybody hates. It's not even that people don't like them and you can ignore them, it's that you can't ignore them. They're in every facet of the game. They've changed fundamental things about the game that affect absolutely everything in a negative way, and I'm at a loss for words of how they could come to the conclusion that this was a good direction to go in. It's kind of insane. And I think what the last thing we didn't talk about the harvest changes, but yeah, surprise, those are really bad too. They've taken my favorite thing to do out of the game, which was my big aspirational goal this league was to work towards getting a 12 link weapon, as I had one in the past and it was really fun, and I want to do that again this league, especially because they didn't nerf Lightning Strike or Nightblade, and I could play Lightning Strike again. So it's like, okay, well, let me get a 12 link claw. That was really fun. That was really gave me something to work towards, right? Because I played the game a lot longer, a lot more than a lot of people do, because I just know life it. Um, and yeah, I have a lot of time to work towards something like that, and it was fun for me to do, but they took the augment influences out of the game, so you can't craft those anymore, or maybe somebody will. It's going to be extremely, extremely hard. It's probably going to be insanely expensive to even mirror it. The mirror fee is probably going to be like 2 mirrors, even if someone does manage to make one. So yeah, that's looking pretty grim as far as my personal goals and a lot of other people's crafting goals with Reforge keeping prefixes suffixes are pretty much ruined, as those are now out of the game as well. And yeah, they've just ruined another thing people really like to do, and I don't understand why they think they can do this over and over and over again and in mass in one single patch, and it's going to be okay and cool. Everyone's going to be like, oh, okay, cool, yeah, you took everything out of the game that I like, and and yeah, what do we have left? What do we have left? You can only do that so many times before everyone just leaves, and that's what I think we're seeing right now. That all being said, though, guys, I just want to get my thoughts on it. I'm still playing. It's still pretty fun. Yeah, it's way worse, and hopefully it gets fixed. I'm still playing. I wouldn't recommend staying in this state of just anger and hatred for the game for too long. If that's where you're at, just get away from the game for a little bit. You know, just try to ignore it. Maybe it'll make it better if you come back, or try to deal with it and play the game as it is, like I've been doing. It's actually not that bad. I do think people are overreacting, but I do think the overreactions are warranted. As I don't know, we do need to send a message to GG and let them know this is not okay. So I do think overreacting is fine, but um, yeah, it's actually not that terrible if you do play. So I would recommend maybe giving it a try. Uh, and just seeing if you could work with what we have right now. Not that it's good, not that I'm taking GGG's side or anything like that. It's really bad, but you know, I'm trying to make it work right now. Is basically all I'm saying. So anyway, I've talked for a while now, guys. Just want to give you guys an update on what the build was looking like and what my thoughts were on all the current drama going on with GGG. Not that anybody really cares to hear my opinion, but I don't know, maybe this will make somebody feel better, and that, you know, you have other people that agree with you and other people are going through all the same stuff you are right now with the current state of the game. So, alright guys, that's going to do it for this one, and thanks for watching.